What would the legal basis be for a military strike?
I'm not going to speculate about a decision that hasn't been made.
Does the fact that Americans, polls show, are reluctant to get involved in another war factor into the president's thinking and decision about how to respond?
The president makes decisions about military action or potential military action with the national security interests of the United States in mind. There is no weightier decision for the president, and he has made that clear on numerous occasions. And he makes decisions of that nature based on what he views as the long-term interests of the United States. Again, as Secretary Kerry made clear, and as I just repeated, this is a matter that is distinct from, although part of, the conflict in Syria. This is a violation of a long-held international norm that bans the use of chemical weapons on a widespread scale with horrific, morally obscene, as Secretary Kerry said, consequences. The transgression here, the violation of this international norm, is a distinct issue, and we are considering options in response to it. Chuck.
Jay, you keep using this phrase, violation of the international norm, so Secretary Kerry. Is that a legal finding by the United States government?
Yeah, I'm not going to lay out a legal case here because we are evaluating potential responses.
What's the norm that it's in violation of?
Standards adopted by the vast majority of nations prohibiting the use of chemical weapons.
Is there a specific treaty you're citing here? Is this the Geneva Convention?
I'll have to get back to you on this.
The
answer is
proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Which
is there a
specific document here?
There is a clear ban prohibiting the use of chemical weapons that has been violated.
Did Syria sign on to that ban?
I doubt it, but we can check. The question at issue here is whether or not the international community and the United States, as part of the international community that shares this view, can tolerate this violation. Because it is in the profound interest of the United States for that international norm to be maintained. We cannot tolerate the use of and proliferation of these kinds of weapons. It's horrific, obviously, in this instance and in the use of chemical weapons in this conflict, but the norm applies to the whole world, and the implications of proliferation of the use of chemical weapons around the region and the world are terrible, and that is why there is the view that we've taken in response to this, and it's a view that's shared by many nations around the world.
Why is the United States responsible for enforcing this norm?
Again, we are consulting with partners and allies around the world on this matter, and we have not announced a response, and the President has not made a decision about a
Secretary
response.
Kerry said you guys are going to respond. That has been now what it looks like, whatever. But he made that pretty clear.
Well, again,
So
there merits.
why,
there has to be a response, but I don't think that.
Why is it the United States is in charge
concluding
of it?
that the United States alone is appalled by the use of chemical weapons in violation of international norms here, and that is not the case. And I think leaders from other nations have made clear that they share our views about what happened in Syria on this particular occasion. But I don't want to get ahead of a process here. The President is consulting with allies and partners. Secretary Kerry has consulted with and will continue to consult with a vast array of his counterparts. And we will keep you updated as we make these evaluations.
Do you need Congress to act on anything, or is that determination?
Again, I don't want to speculate about what Congress might do when we haven't even reached a
Congress
decision.
does not mean having Congress authorize something. Is that a fair? Is that
well, I think that's a statement objectively a fact that you've made, but the
make sure you thought that too.
but we are consulting with Congress that the issues that you raise presuppose a decision that hasn't been made.
Jay, in your answer to Chuck, were you saying that in the White House view no prior authorization from Congress is required?
Again, that's
I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're assuming a decision that hasn't been made, and I'm not going to get ahead of that process.
All right.
If the White House press secretary thought what he was doing was legitimate, why does he evade answering these questions? Keep in mind, this is just a press conference. By the time major media editors put the nightly news together, questions like these don't make it to the broadcast. The general public is kept in the dark. Mainstream media refuses to report that these actions are illegal. Threats of force are a violation of international law. Use of force not in self-defense or not authorized by the UN Security Council are illegal. Let's confront the most destructive force in our society, mainstream media, which robs us of the rule of law and marches us into war after war by presenting this as if it's legitimate. This is not President Obama's call to make. He doesn't have the authority to order an attack on Syria. Please use the YouTube tools below this video to share it with everyone you can. If you know anyone who has the resources to share this video by advertising the link to this video, please contact them now and ask them to advertise it, because the American people have a right to know these things. The majority of Americans are already against what Obama is plotting, with only 9% thinking he should act, according to a recent Reuters poll. Imagine if the public were told about the most important clause of our U.S. Constitution, according to the father of the Constitution. Imagine if the American people knew about the obligations to international law, according to our treaty obligations, which make this planned attack illegal. Please see the links below for more information about why this is being done. Again, please send this link to this video to people that might want to advertise this in order to prevent another senseless war, which could spiral out of control, and who knows what could happen. It could lead to World War III.